Hi everyone, I'm Hajni Collado and I'm a product expert at Earthster. And today's session is dedicated for you to learn how you can do LCAs at scale using Earthster. And my role is to teach you how you can boost your LCA productivity. And the session is all dedicated for that. So today I'm gonna demo Earthster with some of our most advanced scaling features, and I'm gonna show you also how the new latest feature. And as usual, we're gonna have in the end of the session a QA. And at any point, if you have a question, you can send a message in the chat, and I try to answer as best as I can. And if I'm not able to, we'll get in touch with you afterwards and you'll get your answer. But let's get started. So for you who is the first time joining today, what you should know about Earthster, let me start sharing my screen, is here. So Earthster is the most intuitive and easy to use LCA tool out in the market that you can use from your web browser, and the results that you get out of Earthster are understandable by I would say, for every single member of your organization, which makes it amazing that when you're actually doing an LCA, finally, it's not about a 40-page report, but it's about the results and visualizing it. And if you want to get to know more, go to our website. Let me show here the link. Here is the banners, exactly. So go to earthster.org, you'll find more information there. And if you click the button Get Started, you'll get to book a meeting with me, not with me, book a meeting with our team straight away to get you help you get started. Okay, so this is about Earthster. Intuitive and built for scaling your LCA productivity. Now let's go to the app itself. Let me show you. This is how it looks when you're logged into Earthster. Let me zoom in a tiny bit. And please remember, anytime you have questions, ask it in the chat, and I'm able to answer your questions. So, Earthster. What you see in front of you here is a new workspace that I just created particularly for this session, so that there is not a millions of different cycles to bother us in this time. And if you don't know what is a cycle, when we say cycle, it's an LCA model of a product, service, organization. It's fully up to you. It's flexible, and you're in control what you're actually modeling with Earthster. And for today's session, I was looking around for an idea, and I decided to show you how you can use our scaling feature called the replicator to model a Lego figure. Of course, I started because this is just a demo, so it's a super simplified model. Don't get stuck on that. You can build really cool models in Earthster. And let me show you. I asked Gemini today that, okay, give me a basic bill of materials of a Lego figurine, and this is what I got. So as you can see, a Lego piece is built of different pieces, exactly. So this figurine has the arms, the hands, legs, and the face, and all of you know this. And these are the estimated weights in grams, what I got from AI. Of course, I don't know if this is true. This is now just a demo. A demo to show you how the replicator works. Before this session, I already built a simple material, a cycle representing the ABS plastic to manufacture those pieces that you need to build a figurine. And what we are going to do today, I'm going to show you how I did this. And we are going to replicate this cycle for each piece that we have in the figure, and then put all those together. I guess there's no questions so far. Anytime you have, please shoot it in the chat. Look, so this is a cycle, And as you can see, what we call, this is the cycle view, what you see here. And with the help of bundles and custom processes, you can create a really visual structure to represent your product. And the smarter structure you create, the easier it is for any of your stakeholders to understand the results. And for example, from such a simple model as this, that injection molded ABS plastic, you can see that the biggest environmental impact in climate change, this is recipe 2016, comes from the ABS polymer itself, then injection molding, and a bit of titanium oxide. And this is already giving you an insight that, okay, if you would want to lower the environmental impact of your plastic pieces, these are trying to be Lego parts, but it could be any other piece. This is where you should start digging from that. How could you reduce the environmental impact? And look, we give you a superpower to do that. When I'm hovering on my impact circles, exactly, the bigger the circle, the bigger the impact. When I'm hovering on these, what you can see is the button Explore. When I click this button, what it does is it opens up the data set I'm using, kind of like puts it out there for you that what's really inside the data set. So this data set itself, if we go inside here, is from Ecoinvent. You see all the information about their own documentation related to this data set. I'm having a full access to it, so the same thing as a full Ecoinvent license. And if you don't have, this information is the same, but you see a bit less information. And this is the basic information about the cycle. Now you have two options. A moment ago, I was showing you that you can explore and see it in a visual way, that where is the impact coming from? For example, hazardous waste for incineration is the biggest driver for ABS production. But we're able to also visualize it like this. You open the description of the dataset, scroll all the way to the bottom and click View as a Cycle. This will open a new tab, and here you can do similar thing, just click around, explore further, or when you click on either on the label or in the impact circle itself, you open what we call the drawer. Here you can see the list of inputs that this particular dataset is made of, or the same case, if we go back to my own model, whatever I have in my model, that I have added inputs and outputs to my model. And yeah, that's simple it is. Something to know about the Earthster interface. So when you have already created a cycle, any settings or cycle-wide options you'll find under the circled icon here. The circled icon with the 3 lines always means a menu. So when you click on it or hover on it, you'll have different options to do. And this is how you can manage your whole cycle as its all. Then in the drawer is exactly where you add inputs and you can create the structures. When you click Add New, you'll start finding the actual databases. We have many different databases. I will show that later. And if we go back here, from the drop-down menu, you click and you have the option to add a custom process and a bundle. And as you can see, you can even copy-paste data inside Earthster. I'll show you that in a moment. It's my favorite features. I think that's one of the things that really speeds up your LCA modeling process. And the replicator can superpower it also to get those two together. And that's what my demo today is going to be about. So, mini intro about this model. I have created a custom process representing injection molded white ABS, 1 kilo of it. Let's go and see what's inside here. In the info tab, I have specified that it has 1 kilo. Processes, I added 3 different ones. The ABS itself, injection molding, and the titanium dioxide as a white colorant. Super simple model. There probably could be more inputs, but I needed a simple one. And look, when you're adding, this is something that many of our clients are asking, that how do you model processing of a material? And this is the way you would do it. You add the material itself. If we go in here, you can see that the product is the polymer. And then, the database itself, every data set has a genre tag that helps you identify the type of the data, that what is it really about. And this, as you can see, a material product. Then I have added inside the same custom process, injection molding. This is also from Ecoinvent. We go here. As you can see, the product itself, the output of this data set is injection molding, and it's a processing type of data set. And if you read the general comments, you'll find that to get 1 kilo of injection molded plastic, it equals exactly. So 1 kilo yields 0.99 for 999. Anyway, yields less amount of injection molded plastic. So that means that if you're modeling that your part is 1 kilo, you need to add a bit of extra. And here it also specifies that the plastic itself is not included. This is how you would do. You take the material and the processing, you put them together, you match based on the specification of the processing dataset, that how much you add of each, you put them together, and ta-da! That's simple. Look, we just have here the two different inputs. And this one, I even complicated a tiny bit because I decided to add a bit of colorant. So I reduced my total amount of ABS. And look what I did. When you hover on the menu item, you can click on the calculate. And what you're seeing now is I have the full functionality of Earthster. So depending on your subscription plan, you might have it or might not. To be able to add parameters, you need at least a collaborative plan, and the replicator that I'm going to show you requires a corporate plan. And if you want to know more, get in touch, go to earthster.org, book their meeting, and our colleague can help you. But look, how do you define how much plastics you need? What I did is 1 kilo, reduce the colorant, and divided by the ratio the dataset gave me. So it's in this case, this is a tiny bit less than a kilo, but here you can see really nicely that you need a bit more extra processing to get 1 kilo of output. Let's see, let me check if there's any questions, because there might be a tiny bit of delay in LinkedIn versus what I'm streaming. And exactly, this is a live session. This session is automatically recorded by LinkedIn. Anytime you go back to this event, you're able to rewatch it. And also afterwards, it will end up in our YouTube channel. What you find, you just search up Earthster, or you type Earthster_LCA, and you find our channel. And there's really useful, there's the training videos, there's mini videos explaining certain features, longer demos, anything you need to be able to do LCAs at scale. Let's go back. So that's our YouTube channel. And the training, exactly, it's recorded. So you're able to watch it afterwards. And let me get our model. So yeah, simple model. One trick I did, since every input I have specified in kilos. And as you can see from the bill of materials, these Lego pieces are tiny. So for my production purposes and demo purposes, it makes more sense to use grams. So another cool thing in Earthster, what you can do is add multiple scale units, production units or scale units. This model is already done. You click to scale. In here, you can say that I have added 1 kilo is the same thing as 1,000 grams. So any of the inputs in here represents 1 kilo of the product. And this gives me Using 2 of these gives me the option to use this in my models in an easier way, in grams instead of kilos. You can use this trick. So saving a data set, adding only that, you change the production unit. You could use it even for adding the weights or any units in a different scale or ounces, and any of those, you can use this. Or you can use the custom process for it. Both works. Okay, now, next step. So we have our generic plastic. It's going to be white parts. We ignore that the Lego pieces are different colors. The next step, what to do is we're going to create a new cycle. And this cycle, now I'm going to create for creating the actual Lego parts. So the goal is to get these pieces, every single one of them, as its own model that I save for future use. And in this case, we are going to try to model this cute little figure, and these same inputs can be used for different type of Lego figures, because there could be thousands of variations, maybe even millions. There's so many differences. And if all those you create as their own cycles, you can use them as inputs in your model. So look, let's create it together. Create new cycle. I'm going to call it Lego part template. This time it's all about production. We are not going to choose a template. You could just leave it open. Doesn't change anything unless you start searching for a template. And here you specify that now these Lego pieces that you're adding is what is the production amount? Is it 1 unit or certain amount of grams? And I would say it makes more sense to add exactly, keep it 1 unit, because this model is going to represent each part. So we could say 1, we could rename it to part, but let's leave it unit. I'm going to create the cycle. This is how a cycle looks when you start it from scratch. We click on the label on production and click again to open the drawer and start adding inputs. Now we click here, and what I'm going to do is look up my own model. I have already a cycle that has a release, and we're going to look it up. The first step to do, because this searches the whole database. And currently we have, let me show you, let's go to the documentation. No, I don't have all of them. Here you find the documentation. You'll find part of the databases. Not all of them has a documentation page yet. Ecoinvent, USLCI, the Dutch emission factors, Nettle. We have just recently added USLCI, CORRIM. Let me check my list. US electricity baseline, Exiobase, PEF. We start to have a huge amount of databases for you to choose from. And we are also having conversations for other data providers. Let me go here. So we go back in here, and we are going to look for my own cycle. Look, in scope, instead of all cycles, I'm going to click here, my own cycles. This means anyone in the organization where you're logged in, any of the cycles that are there, you have access to. It'll show up. Then, already without even searching, my cycle shows up. But look, if we just put all cycles and I would put Lego, because of course I named it like that, I'm finding it straight away. And I can see that this is my cycle. These are my functional units. It's also marked as a material product, and this is what we add. I could check it if there's more details about it, but I know that this is the one we're using. So adding process. Look. Now what I'm doing is, since we defined 2 production units, I can choose. I can choose that, am I adding my data based on grams or kilos? Now I want to add it based on grams. Look, the impact updates. So now this data set uses the production unit representing 1,000 grams. And I'm saying in my model, there's 1 gram. Now, this is the first step. So, and if you're thinking about the Lego parts, the only thing we need is, since this one already includes the injection molding, we could also explore this one here. We would see the same things, explore further, and we don't need to add anything else. So way too simple example. Imagine here you could have thousands of inputs if needed, with layering under each other. To use the replicator, you need to use hashtags. You label the inputs that you want to update. And this time, look, we go to the bill of materials. We want to create, I already created a template for it here in my other tab. I want to create these cycles. So I have 6 cycles. These are going to be the names of them. And I'm specifying that the ABS amount in grams are going to be these. And the system is going to create for me automatically. And this is the hashtag I'm going to use. Look, I called it ABS. It could be plastic amount. You could call it anything that makes sense. And if my model would be more complex, I would just add more and more and more hashtags to represent the model. Look, we add here the hashtag ABS. When we do this, you add it into the description. This means that any of the hashtags, if it's present in my replicator, it will update the value up here. And we just save it like this. In Earthster, everything autosaves. You just click out and that's it. It saves it. Including if you're working together with your team members. So it's designed for full collaboration. It doesn't matter if someone is editing at the same time, you can do it. And look. We have this. So that's a simple model. I'm going to issue a release. What is a release? A release is a snapshot of my model that is kind of like, you can think of it as your cycle is your Word document, and a release is a PDF that you want to keep for like checking history and keeping track of how your model has evolved, because these releases you're able to also use in comparisons. You can take your own cycle and compare different versions of each other and see how it evolved over time. The notes section is for you to keep notes at what have you done, and I could say added the needed hashtags to replicate. This, I recommend keeping notes. What has happened to your cycle, especially if you are working together with other people, because your teammates can see these things and should see these things. Okay, we have now our template. You have 2 options. You go to documentation and look up the replicator. I really recommend that you read the instructions here. Replicate and update cycles in bulk. Here's an explanation how everything works, a mini example of the table, what you have to have, and how to do it. And you can replicate and you use the same table to update your existing cycles. But we have added an awesome new feature to be able to download the template with your hashtags present in your model. Look, you go into settings. In here, there's the option to replicate in bulk, only with the corporate plan. On the drop-down menu, you have the option to download a template. If I click here, it takes an Excel file from actually CSV file. Let me show you how the file itself looks. Extremely simple. It just has a column name and ABS. If I would have 1,000 different hashtags in here, they would all show up and I would be able to modify that in any type of spreadsheet, Google Sheet, Excel, anything you want to use. And that's why my example here, the replicator has the same thing. As you can see, it has the name. These are the cycle names and the hashtag I have. So let's take this one. I'm gonna download this, export it as a CSV. You can also export it as an Excel. Both works. And look, I have my CSV. I go back to settings. I click replicate in bulk. Then you could find the file, or you can just drag on top of it. Let me show you like this. We drag here, and then I click upload and replicate. You're gonna see some magic. Look, you see, it was so fast, you don't even barely see the notifications. So it starts replicating, and this one works no matter how many thousands of cycles you have. It gives you superpowers to have variations of your parts. This is a Lego example. You could have more complex parts, but imagine some of the little dimensions changes or the materials changes depending on how you have set up your template. You can upload with, like you saw, with one click. I have now all these cycles existing that we are going to use in another one. Let me check. Meanwhile, I'm going to check. Is there any questions? Let me see. Yep, like that. Looks like no questions. Please ask questions, and let's make these sessions more interactive. And if you're just joining the live session, this webinar is about how to use Earthster to scale your LCA productivity and make more use of LCA within your whole organization. Even the salespeople are able to use your LCA models for sales purposes. Let me see. Now we are back in the demo and training itself. So let's see what happens. For example, the first cycle, we said that's the head and it's a smiling one. Let's see how many grams it says. 1 gram. And each cycle has their own amounts. And something went wrong with this is something that I noticed, that depending on if you have your settings correctly for the worksheet itself, so the region, whether it's commas or dots, sometimes you might have these kind of issues that it drops the decimals. But in general, Earthster works with both. Doesn't matter if you add in here in the values you're saying 1,5 or you're saying, look, 1.5. Both are accepted and both works. Good. So we have this information. When you're using your own cycles in another model, there's 2 important things to remember. At the moment, all the data needs to be under the production stage. Even if it would include distribution, just create the structure within the production. And the other one is issue releases. Because when you add your own cycle to another one, that's how it gets connected and that's how it tracks it. Also, you always need a release for the system to calculate its inventory. And for example, when we are looking at the impacts in our main 5 impact categories, you don't need it. You're able to export your results because we have a super smart system how to make it faster so that you're able to see, like, in milliseconds the difference at what happens if you're saying 75 grams or 20. But when it comes to viewing your results in any other impact category, and we have many, and this is part of the new features, now we have added environmental cost indicator since the last session, and we have also the EN version that you need for EPDs. All the different categories are there. This is only available if you have a full Ecoinvent license. So if you don't have one yet and you would like to have, please get in touch and we can get you one. And another topic is the waste flow information is limited. So for me to activate for you this particular impact category, we need to have a meeting. But we are eager to have meetings with you, and I'll show you how to use that particular one. Okay, that's about impact categories, full Ecoinvent licenses. And you can get all those through Earthster. Now let's issue a release. We say, we don't keep a notes this time. We do it like this. And as you can see, the one that I issued a release already is no longer a draft. I'm able to add also these into my cycle, the new one, but it's not a good idea. So always issue releases. Then we are going in here, and because my replicator misbehaved, no, that's one. Good. We issue a release. We need to issue in all of them. Good. Issue releases. Let me see. 0.1. Good. Issue release. Good, good, good. And we are having these. Now let's start. Let's do all of them. Issue release. I don't know if you notice, I tend to click a bit too fast. Look, one trick, click on the Earthster logo to navigate back to your workspace. That's the fastest way to go. And we are issuing releases, and that's it. Now all of them has a release. So basically issuing the release saying that, okay, for now, these are done, and this is what I'm gonna use in my other models. So now what I could do is create a new cycle for, and actually that's what we are gonna do, create a new cycle. Look, Lego figure smiling female, like that. Next, one unit, we take out the additional functional units, and then you can start adding them one by one, or actually, that's one of our new features, that now you're able to add inputs as a bulk option. Look, since I named all of them, having the name Lego in it, of course, it makes my search much, much easier. So you can see that I can add all these at the same time. Look, click, click, click. This is an awesome feature when you need to do these kind of things. You click add selected. Here, look, we have all those things in there. And now, of course, we have legs, we need 2. No, actually, legs, we need 1. We need hands 2 and arms 2. And everything else, we have 1. And ta-da! I have now a model for a Lego figure. This is one way of doing it. The other way that I wanted to show is we are going to copy paste this data in here, just to show you for what type of purposes also copy paste is useful. Look, I don't know if you knew before, when you hover on a row, a little box appears. When you click on it, you're able to select multiple. If you click here, it select all. You have the option to delete all of these, duplicate all of them, move them to another section, or copy all of them. And this time, I'm going to delete all because I want to show you copy paste. So I'm going to delete, and you say, yes, I know what I'm doing. And now we have an empty cycle again. Let's go back to my spreadsheet. And look, copy paste. The way copy paste works is, actually, let's go back. I recommend when you're copy pasting data, always copy first from something else, like this, for example, copy, or also you're able to copy from here. If you go into the data set itself, from the drop down, you find more actions related to that input, and for example, from here. But why I'm saying this, that copy first an existing element, let me show you. When you copy anything in Earthster, this is an Earthster specific feature. Look, I paste into my spreadsheets, and this is how the data looks like. It starts with type, name, value, unit, reference ID, parent, and other. This is the header needed for any copy pasting. If this is different or you forget to add a column, then the pasting will not work. And let me show you what we're going to now do. Since we have these already, I know that those are my cycle names. And we are going to add those with the copy paste. I'm just going to copy all these. Go to my copy paste table. We are going to call these, look, these are the cycles we are adding. Any process, any data set that you would be adding from the system is called a flow, which is marked as an F. If you have a custom process, it's a C, and exchanges are E like this. So C and E. And a bundle is a B. So those are the codes. You can play around, create a mockup in your own cycle, copy, paste, and then you see how it works. And then, look. Now we would say, of course, we need to update this. Value is the same thing what is here in the value box, what we're going to add. So we are saying we have one head, one, arms 2, hands 2, and hair 1. And all these were units. And I'm just gonna copy paste like this. Reference, we leave it open. This reference is Earthster specific. So when you copy your data, it will have a reference ID because it knows exactly what it is. So the dataset has its own ID, including your own cycle. And when you don't know it, you just want to create a table like this from scratch, then you leave it open. And it will give you the option to map your input to what is in the database. And look, we are gonna add the numbering. This is super important. The ID here is a consecutive number for each element in here. If I would be adding bundles or such things, in the parent you specify that, okay, these 5 inputs belong to number 4. And you would just write here, for example, 4 and 4. But this wouldn't work because these are flows. Custom processes or bundles can have inputs. Other section, you're able to add a description. You can specify the region of the data set or even the query of what is it really searching with, because this name is going to show up what you paste. But what we are going to do is just leave those empty. This is, we could add new hashtags, but I'm just going to delete it. Look, mark the whole table, even the empty columns like this, copy, and look what happens. Let's go to our correct one, this one, Lego figure, smiling female. We go to production. I click, instead of add new, the drop down here, paste, and we are pasting the table. And look what the system is telling us. Since the name of my cycles were really specific, the system knows exactly, even though I didn't have the ID, it knows that, oh, okay, this is clearly this one, this is clearly this one. I could pick another one if I would need to. You would just have to do a search and you click to select mapping, or you can skip it. When you skip it, it creates an empty custom process. But this time, since they're all correct, I say paste and import. And look, the same thing. I have the whole cycle with the right numbers. And ta-da! I used copy paste to take information from my own bill of materials, even from my replicator, to build a totally new model. And depending on how good you are on with Excel, you can use VLOOKUPs and all those things to take data from your existing bill of materials, create this, paste it into Earthster, and you have your models. And of course, always check it what you pasted, because sometimes the numbering went wrong, you jumped over a number, and then it will give you issues. But it can speed up your LCA process a lot. Look. I'm having questions. I'm happy about it. Let's have a moment of questions. So in case you're jumping in now to this webinar, we are going through how you can use Earthster to do your LCAs at scale and supercharge your LCA productivity. And let's see. So Paul is happy about the webinar, and let's see. So he's asking or saying that if anyone wants to learn how to do ISO compliant LCAs or just understand the basics, to send him a message. Paul is one of the founders of the Environmental Impact Academy, who is our partner, and they're teaching LCA with using Earthster. I really recommend their course. I'm actually teaching one of their classes. But exactly, so here, if you want to see, this is his message. Feel free to contact him. He will tell you more about the course, the program itself. They have different versions. And related to ISO compliant models, I have a cool surprise for you. Let's switch organizations. I have many, and my cool templates is inside Earthster. Look. I have two models here that are shared publicly, and you're able to use it as a starting point for your own models. One is a template for doing an ISO compliant LCA report. Look. As all my templates, it looks empty, but it's packed with information. If we start with the notes section, when you save this to you as your own cycle, you would see the same information. There is instructions how to use it. You can preview it to make it look better. A bit of background of the template, how and why. And the cool thing is related to our new feature, the documentation section. Look, now you have notes and documentation. You click here and you find a bunch of sections added that you need to report for an LCA report that you want to be third-party verified. And you can create these sections. You can create more. You can move them around. Look, you would just click here, add new section, and I could just call in demoing. Demoing. Add here some content. Testing. You could add enters and then save it. And of course, because this is my template, we are not going to leave it here. But look, great. This is how you would do anything in the documentation. This template will give you already the sections you need to create an ISO 140, which one it is. I never remember the numbers I have. 14044 and the 14040, the generic one. And the 44 is the one that specifies what you actually have to do. As you can see here, the principles and the requirements and guidelines for the reporting purposes. And this is what it is. But of course, the documentation section, when you create a new cycle, is empty. You can use it for any purposes for yourself. What's going to happen soon is that you will be able to export the documentation as a Word document or add these sections to a custom export. For example, a PDF, spit it out with the rest of the results. All these will be soon available. So those are coming soon. But yeah, now you have access to documentation that you can keep track of your models better. And look, so this is for the ISO template, generic LCAs. Here, inside the production, or actually inside every stage, if we go into the review, you'll see it a bit better that all of these have information, a bit of guidance, what you include, how to do your LCAs. And the use phase, that's something that many are asking about it. In Earthster, the use phase, we consider it that, so you need to add there two things, using your product and the end of life of your product. And the reason why there's only one stage called use for it is because the final decision is in your customer's hand. So you might say that they are smart enough to recycle, but in reality, they're the ones doing it. So conceptually, it belongs to the use phase, but you can do it like this, like in this template. I just created a bundle for them to represent those, and then you would add here all the inputs needed, or actually outputs needed to represent waste treatment processes. Okay, that's the ISO template, and then we have another one, an EPD template. And this is many of you are using already. Let me show you in the review panel, full of bundles that you need for doing an ISO compliant EPD report. If we go to the notes, no, not the documentation, same thing. These documentation sections that what you see here is actually needed for doing your EPD fully digitally with Smart EPD. That's one of the coolest things also in these sessions that I wanted to show you. We have a smart partnership with Smart EPD. They are dedicated to have the whole EPD process fully digital, and we have partnered up with them, or we have partnered up together to make this true. So you build your model in Earthster, fill out all this information, we shoot the data over APIs, and it ends up in looking something like this. Let me show you an EPD library. These are examples. This is the test server, what I'm showing. Look, here's, for example, carbon steel plate product. You see the basic information about it. These are the similar inputs that you need to add into the cycle, and then you can view it in a digital format. There's an image, there's all the information, and all these things you can build in Earthster. Over the API goes all the data. Create pretty tables without you needing to export anything from the system. No need for making PDFs and sending it to the reviewer. You do it everything digitally. The results are there. And ta-da! You send it. Then it goes through their review process. Smart EPD provides for you, the reviewer. So there's a, like, for you, from your perspective, you're just saying that, okay, this is the PCR I'm going to use. And here's my model. Please do it. And then they find for you the right reviewer who will review your model. But yeah, that's about Smart EPD and Earthster. And we're really, really excited about these projects. So we have already some pilots going on. If you're interested, get in touch. And the easiest way is go to Earthster, fill out the form, get in touch, and we can guide you more. And of course, you can always send an email to me, and I'll set you up with the right people related to it. So documentation section, I wanted to show you exactly, there was the review we already checked. And then in notes section, you're able to add here links, pictures, documents. Here's the whole document, for example, construction related PCR from Smart EPD. So you can keep really good documentation within Earthster, either to share it, so you can share your models with your clients if you want to, or for internal purposes only. It's up to you, and you can make them look really, really good for sharing data. Any questions? We have about 10 minutes left. There is a comment. Yes, there is a question. So Susan is asking, to clarify, Smart EPD is a third-party verifier. What is the fee for this? That's an amazing question, and I don't know the answer for it. So for that, I ask you to go to Earthster, book a meeting, and my colleague Simo will let you know about the prices. So at the moment, during the pilot, we do not charge our clients anything, but Smart EPD has their own pricing for publishing the EPDs. And depending on your case, you might be able to publish, for example, like the Lego example. You could create in an easy way of all the thousands of variations and have a package deal for your EPDs, since the review process would be almost every single time the same thing. Your model changes super tiny bit, and that's one of Smart EPD's goals, to be able to make it faster, make it cheaper. And that's what we are also helping you to do, also doing EPDs at scale, since it's almost the same model. And yeah, so we'll set you up with the meetings and you are able to get started. Let me see other comments. Yes. Carl is asking, will you also partner up with European EPD verifiers? We haven't talked with any yet, but yes, nothing stops us from partnering up with others. And the reason why we started with Smart EPD is because their aim and goal is everything fully digital, and it aligns really well with us. But also, like all this template that I was showing you, you can choose any other service like program operator. It doesn't have to be Smart EPD. The only difference is that we have already the API integration that makes it faster, but you can do it with any other program operator, and we're able to help you. And related to help, that's one of the new things also that I wanted today to mention, is that we offer now professional support if you need help with your LCA modeling, building EPDs, anything related to not just how to use Earthster, but more technical questions that, my product is like this, what would you recommend? Or you're also able to find you third-party verifiers. But this support, what I'm mentioning about, is hourly based. You can get a deal of, let's say, a few sessions or even once a week for the whole year. And we are there to help you. And we are really, really eager on helping you succeed with your LCAs. Because when you succeed with doing LCAs, so do we. And our goal is that when you do have your LCAs, you actually get something out of it. Not just the 40-page report, but you are able to improve your production, involve your whole organization, utilize your models in sales. Let me show you why I'm talking about that. Salespeople can do this. I'm gonna show you one of my demos. No, I have a other one, an old training. For example, scenarios. When your model has parameters, and for having parameters, you need the collaborative plan. You can add any amount of parameters that creates variables for your models, and you use them in formulas. For example, these. Let me show you here. I specify the formula, the system calculates for me, and I can run super simple scenarios. This is a simple model. I can say that this is a bicycle. And let's see what happens if I have a steel frame. It recalculates the value. I can pin it. And then I can have different versions, see that what happens with it. Pin all these, create comparisons out of it, or save them as a cycle, export as a scenario. Now imagine you manufacture bikes, and there's more options here. You have all the colors, everything, and you're talking with your client in a sales meeting. You show them that, how about, should we make the bike red? And then they say, yeah, good idea. I like that. Then you pin it and you call it red bike. And then you have a different version, let's say titanium version and red. We pin that also. Red titanium. You do all these. In the sales meeting, the sales guy is able to do this. They don't need to know anything about the model, except maybe explain to the client that, okay, this is what we have taken into account. And then you can compare the results. What the system calculates for the main 5 impact categories, but if you have the full Ecoinvent license, you have access to other impact categories. And now it's surprisingly so. When this happens, if it feels too long, what you should do is reload your page, and then the results will be most often there. Let me show you. Yes. Sometimes it gets stuck. Look, these are our different scenarios that a salesperson is able to create, show it to the client that, look, if you choose our bioplastic, then this is the results. But if we go with this other one, this is the results. Which one would you like to have? And then the cool part is that you can export the results, especially from the cycle. You export the results, give it to the client. They go to talk with their own management that, look, can we pretty please have the bioplastic because the impact is so much better, and you made a better deal. And look. So we have 4 minutes left. One other thing that I wanted to show today, and we have way too little time for it, is we have superpowered comparisons. Here, what you see is just the production stage, because that's what my model has. But now when it comes to the bicycles, I know that there are different parts of it. So we can see the cycle itself. Look, this is how it's built down. It has bicycle assembly, battery, frame, wheels, and those things in the model itself. So we go back and we can create divisions based on the elements my cycle has. We click here on edit, click add new. And for example, we say frame. This is naming the division. The includes part is where the magic happens, where I'm actually searching within my cycle what's in there. I'm going to start writing frame because I know I have a bundle called frame. And look, it gives me many options, processes including frame. That means any dataset that has in the name frame. This one refers to my bundle. It was just called frame. And these are subcomponents of that frame, because I remember the model, but I'm going to choose this one. You see, now into this division, it's going to include any impact within frame, that bundle. I'm going to recolor it. Look what I did. I clicked on the pencil icon, and then you can choose any other color. I like purple. You can customize it to your company's colors. You click out. You can add a description. What is this about? You click create division, and ta-da! Now you see the impact of the frame. The rest with no division just shows the total impact of the other bits and pieces. And this way you can visualize your own models based on the structure you have created. For example, for the EPD, you could add A1, A2, A3, or any others. The Lego pieces, we could add the leg, the arms, all those things. We would see the breakdown of the impact per piece, per component of the model. And good. Ayo, yes, I have another question and we have 2 minutes. Okay, Ayo is asking, how do we navigate to the template? Great question. Let me show you. And I'm going to show it on purpose from my other accounts so that you see how it looks. We go in here. The easiest way to find my templates is, instead of create new cycle, you click on the drop down, click search all Earthster cycles. This opens the search, just like when you're adding datasets. This is the same thing, but you don't need to have a cycle yet. We are going to empty my search because now we want to search everything. And for example, if you want to find the ISO, let's just write ISO 140 here. Or I could have written template. The search works. It looks for anything in the title and also everything inside the notes. And this is something that, for example, let me show you in an Ecoinvent. Remember this trick. Ecoinvent datasets have a classification section. Use these codes to find everything within that grouping they have, that classification. You might find awesome inputs that you didn't know that is there. But look, so ISO, this is the one we want to start with. I click view cycle, so I could see first that it's the correct one. I click here. Now I'm seeing it, looks empty, but remember, there is the data in there. I click in the menu and save as a cycle. Click here. I can rename it. I choose the workspace where I want to save it and save as a cycle. And ta-da! I have now my own copy and I can start filling this and adding here all the information that I want. So this is the way to use any cycle that you have access to, including Ecoinvent, other datasets, cycles from other universities. If you find something as a good starting point for your model and you have access to it, you just save it as an own and you can continue working from it. And you're able to do that with your own cycles also. But our time is up. I love it that we got, I got some questions today. The next session I'm going to add here now into the comments is going to be in about a month on the 26th of February. Let me add here in the comments. It doesn't let me add. I'll go into this interface. Here is, so next session, please sign up. Also for the next session, if you have already questions or meanwhile you come up with questions, please send those to me. You can add them into the event and we can go through those particular questions. Then I would say that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed. And remember, the easiest way to get in touch with us is go to earthster.org, click on the Get Started, fill out the form, and you straight away can book a time with us. And we can help you either with your modeling, get you a license, anything you need. We are here for you and we want to help you. And thank you for this session. See you next month at the latest.